Hi guys, how you doing? Look, I've just finished making this jar with a dinosaur on top. Can you see? I was wondering if you might be interested in seeing how he did it. You would? Great. I'm going to show you how it's done right now.
Okay, so before we start, there's some things we're going to need. We're going to need a strong glue. We're going to need a small plastic figure of your favourite dinosaur. And then we're going to need a glass jar with a lid that you can unscrew. Having got all the materials together, it's now important that we get an adult to help us. It's important that we're in a well-ventilated area. We shake the glue and we apply the glue to the dinosaur's feet and we stick him to the lid of the jar. Before the glue dries, make sure that the bottom part of the lid will fit over your dinosaur. If it's too large, you can just put it together before you glue the dinosaur to the top. Now you've given time for the glue to set, it's time to pick the colour that you want to paint your dinosaur and the lid. In this case, we've gone for blue.
Alright, so now that's all finished, here it is. We've got a nice glass jar with a dinosaur all painted on top. But it's not quite right, is it? What are we missing? I know, let's put something inside it. What's better than your favourite candy? Now, once we've got the lid on here, we're going to put it up high so that Rexi can't find it. Perfect. What do you think, guys?
On the 12th of August 1990, a paleontologist by the name of Susan Hendrickson, who was working for the Black Hill Institute, discovered what was to turn out to be the most complete T-Rex fossil to have ever been discovered. Come with us as we take a look at this incredible find and discover some of the facts about what is probably the most famous dinosaur on the planet. Its name is Sur. Back in February, my wife Dawn and I took the long drive from Louisiana to Colorado. We undertook the trip to collect our brand new T-Rex, who we named Rocky, in honour of the beautiful mountains from where he came. Whilst we were in Denver, we decided to visit the Museum of Natural History. Inside there were amazing, huge fossils showing dinosaurs of years gone by. There were reconstructed eggs of how we imagined that a dinosaur egg would be. And hanging from the roof were several pterosaurs. It was a truly fantastic presentation of life on Earth from millions of years ago. To our pleasure, we discovered the travelling cast of Sur the T-Rex was on display within the museum. It truly is astounding to stand and see a fossilised skeleton in its full glory. Rescued from inside a mountain where it had lived undisturbed for 64 million years. In an attempt to show the sheer scale of this huge dinosaur's head, here's a photograph of myself standing next to Sue's skull. The skull, in size, measures roughly 5 feet long. Some of the teeth are the size of a banana, and they were built to crush and bite through anything that it bit into. Whilst we're talking about the head of Sue, let's take a closer look. This opening on the skull is where Sue's ear was located. Modern crocodiles' ears are in roughly the same place. This hole is the eye socket. The T-Rex's eyes faced forward, giving the predator its depth perception, making it deadly when hunting. All dinosaurs have this hole in front of their eye. It's called the antorbital fenestra. Their modern-day descendants, birds, also share this feature. The nostrils held large sensory organs within Sue's skull and are evidence that the T-Rex had a keen sense of smell. Through careful examination of the fossilized skeleton, paleontologists have discovered that it's likely Sue could have been in several battles. If we take a close look, we can see where the ribs have been damaged and then repaired themselves over time. We can only guess at what caused these injuries. Maybe another dinosaur fighting for its life as Sue tackled its prey. Or perhaps it was caused by another T-Rex in a battle over territory. It's unlikely we'll ever find out for certain, but whatever their cause, these must have been painful injuries for Sue. In comparison to the rest of its body, the T-Rex's arms were tiny. It's likely they were an evolutionary remnant of once larger limbs. And it's highly likely that if the T-Rex had survived for a few million more years, they would have disappeared completely. All tyrannosaurs only had 2 fingers, where the majority of theropods had 3 fingers. And this is an excellent clue as a junior paleontologist when you're trying to identify the types of dinosaurs. If we take a close look at the skeleton and pay particular attention to the tail, we can find evidence of some of the small bones, the vertebrae, being fused together. This is called arthritis and would have been painful for Sue as it swayed its tail whilst walking. Just like modern animals, Sue suffered from parasites and infections. The holes you can see here in Sue's jaw might have been the result of parasite infection. Similar holes form in the jaws of modern birds of prey when they pick up parasites from contaminated meat. This infection could well have been the thing that killed Sue. It may have made eating so painful that Sue eventually died from starvation. As well as the cast of Sue's skeleton, the museum was also displaying a full-scale model of what Sue may have looked like when it was alive. A full-size mock-up of what was probably the most terrifying animal to have ever walked the planet. One of the coolest things within the Denver Museum of Natural History is its viewing gallery. Here you can watch as paleontologists painstakingly prepare fossils from the field. Each piece is cleaned and inspected with amazing precision. Through the dedicated work of these people and others like them, we are constantly learning about the lives of ancient creatures that have long since passed.
Hi guys, welcome back to Keeping the Dinosaurs Healthy. One of the things we like to do here at the Dinosaur Experience is to make sure that our dinosaurs are healthy and in tip-top condition so that when they come to see you guys, there's no problems. And today I'm going to show you some of the health checks and some of the things we do to maintain our dinosaurs' health. Is that okay, Rexi? Yeah, good. So there's nothing to be worried about. One of the first things we need to do, Rexi, is we need to check your breathing and your heart with the stethoscope here, okay? And we're gonna just put it on your chest, and we're gonna listen to your breathing a little bit, okay? All right, so we're gonna put it, Rexi, don't be silly, I need to put it on your chest, okay? I'm gonna just put it on your chest. Rexi, look, I need to put it on your chest, Rexi, so that we can hear you breathe. Let me just put it on your chest, Rexi. Ow, ow, Rexi, ah, ah, ow. All right, so we're probably not going to do that at the moment because he's a little bit nervous, aren't you, Rexi? I don't know. So what else would we need to do? Well, we need to look inside his mouth and make sure there's no food or remnants or any toothache that we might see. And to do that, we use a stick like this one so that we don't have to put our hand anywhere near his mouth. All right, Rexi, open up for me. No, Rexi, you've got to open up so that I can see inside. Open up, Rexi. All right, so now we hold the tongue down like this, and then we can look inside. You can see all the dentures and all the top. Ah! Rexi, that's not funny. That's not funny at all. You're supposed to behave yourself when all these children are watching. All right, so now we've checked his breathing and his heart. They seem to be good, and there's nothing inside his mouth that we should be worried about. His gums are nice and pink, and his teeth are clean. So the other thing we need to do is check his temperature. We take off the thermometer like this. And you may know, with animals, instead of putting it in the mouth, you have to do an internal measurement. An internal measurement means that we have to put it inside them. So I'm just going to put this inside Rexi, and we'll take his temperature. Rexi, come on. I need to put this inside you. Ow, 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 ow. All right, he doesn't want his temperature taken, I don't think. So we'll move on to the final thing. The last thing we need to do is to clean Rexi's feet for him and his arms and his fingers. Because as he's walking around and scratching and treading on things, he tends to get rocks and bits and pieces all cut up at his feet. So what we use for that is we just use a normal brush like this. You see this, Rexi? And all we do is just put it between the legs like this, rest it on a chair, and we get a brush that's nice and straight. Then we get Rexi's feet and his hands, and we give him a little clean like that. Oh, is that ticklish, Rexi? Are you ticklish? Yeah? Oh, ow, stop, Rexi! Ow, 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 Rexi, stop, stop! Ow, 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 oh, Rexi. All right. Well, I hope you've enjoyed our little session there on how to keep your dinosaur in tip-top condition, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. And Rexi, that was really bad of you. You shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be doing that.
Stegosaur versus T-Rex. Rah! The T-Rex bites the Stegosaur, who spins around and whips him with his tail. Crash! And the T-Rex falls on his side. Ah! Oh, hi guys. How you doing? I was just looking at these two dinosaurs here. We got a Stegosaur and we got our favourite, the T-Rex. Now, interestingly, these two would never actually have met. The Stegosaur here, he was around a lot earlier than the T-Rex, and he actually died out about 144 million years ago. So this guy died out about 144 million years ago. T-Rex died out about 67 million years ago. And in between the Stegosaur and the T-Rex was about 77 million years. So 77 million years between this guy, the last one of the Stegosaurs, dying, and the first of the T-Rexes being born. 77 million years separated them. Now wait a second, let's think about that. If this guy died out 65 million years ago, that means the time between these two and the time between the T-Rex and us was actually less. So there's less time between you and me and the T-Rex than there is between the T-Rex and the Stegosaur. Isn't that incredible? Now, when we talk about millions of years, that's a real big number. 1 million. How long do you think it would take to count from 1 to 1 million? Have a guess. What do you think? Well, let me tell you. If you were to count from 1 to 1 million, and it took you 1 second for every count, and you didn't stop at all for sleep or food or going to school or eating or bathroom breaks even, it would actually take you 11.5 days, plus a bit. 11.5 days to count from 1 to 1 million. That's incredible. Imagine all that time. Every second is 1 million years. And even if it was a second, it would take you 11.5 days to count just from 1 to 1 million. And the T-Rex here died out 64 million years ago. So if we were to count from 1 to 64 million without stopping, no sleep, no food, all we do is count 1 a second. 1, 2, 3, until we reached 64 million, it would take us 2 years. 2 years of non-stop counting, 1 a second. And we're talking about 64 million years. That's an incredible amount of time. So, when we talk about dinosaurs, how do we know they actually existed? Do you know? What's the evidence that dinosaurs were actually around? Well, what happens is we find fossils in the ground. Paleontologists look in the earth and in rocks, and they find little fossils, fossilized bones. So fossilized bones are actually made of rock, okay? They're not bones. And the way they're formed is when a dinosaur dies, it goes into the ground and it is covered by muck and oil, and all the flesh and everything just rots away, and so just the bones are left. Now, if we're lucky and it falls in the right place and there's the right amount of sun and the right amount of soil and the right type of soil, then the ground makes a mold around the bone, around the hard bones that are left. And as it rains, the rain drips through the holes into the bones, and as the water penetrates the bones going into the little holes, it brings minerals. You may have heard of mineral water. Well, minerals are the little rocks that you could only see if you look through with a microscope in water. And those minerals bond together over time in the little holes in the bone. And as the bone wears away and decays over the millions of years, more and more minerals attach themselves inside, until eventually the bone is completely worn away. There's nothing left of the bone apart from a mold in the rock it's sitting in. And then the water brings in more molecules. So what you've got is actually a mold of where the bone was. And it's made out of another type of rock. So a fossil is actually a rock inside a rock, and it's been formed from where the bone used to be. Now, I've got a couple of fossils to show you today. So the first one I've got here, can you guess what this might be? It's from a very famous dinosaur. It's from our favourite dinosaur, my favourite dinosaur anyway. It's from a T-Rex. And it's from the T-Rex called Sur, who you may have seen the video earlier about. So this fossil here is actually a toe from the T-Rex. And you can imagine that the T-Rex used this on his feet to hold down and pierce into his prey. So the hook part here and the sharp talon was used to go into the prey and stop it from moving. So that's the claw from Sur the T-Rex. The other fossil I've got here, does anyone want to guess what this might be? This one is actually, again, from a T-Rex. It's from Sur, the famous T-Rex. It's actually one of her teeth, okay? It's a tooth from a T-Rex. Look at the size of that. It's the size of a banana. Now, the majority, or at least half of this, would actually sit inside the gum. So it was sort of up to here, would be inside the gum of the T-Rex's mouth. And this hook end here, this was the business end. This was the bit that would bite into its prey. Now, the T-Rex's tooth was serrated. So it had little chips out of it. If you've ever used a steak knife to cut meat, you notice there's little teeth on the knife. And that's so it helps it to cut through meat. And that's exactly what the T-Rex had on its teeth. And it was used so that it could grab into and hold and cut better whatever it was biting. It also had a secondary thing. Because it was jagged on the edges of the T-Rex's tooth, it actually helped to hold old pieces of meat. So the T-Rex's breath must have really stank. It must have been terrible. But because of the rotting and the decaying food that were on the T-Rex's tooth, what it meant was when the T-Rex actually bit into something, not only was the bite most times absolutely terrible and it killed the prey, if it didn't happen to kill them, then the bite would probably poison them anyway because of the rotting food and flesh that was involved on the teeth. As it went in, it poisoned the actual animal or dinosaur that the T-Rex was biting. The other thing, of course, about T-Rex's teeth was they were prone to fall out. We know they were prone to fall out because we found different dinosaurs and their fossils with T-Rex's teeth still in them. You know, they found a Triceratops with a T-Rex tooth stuck in the Triceratops, which proves to us that the Triceratops and the T-Rex sometimes fall. So when the T-Rex bit into things, sometimes some of his teeth would fall out. And that's very much like a modern shark. Sharks' teeth fall out all the time. And they just grow back. And that's exactly what used to happen with our friend over here, the T-Rex. Okay, guys, that's everything you've got from us at the Dinosaur Experience. So until next time, hopefully we'll see you again real soon. And remember, if you're looking for a code, the code word you need to enter on the website is the word dinosaur. See you soon. Bye.